Sight of the twain, Kasha, a Dalaki of the 8th reign, was initially given her assignment to the out-of-the-way station due to her lack of sensory mastery. She took it as an opportunity and had decided to strike out and prove her worth to both her peoples and the Great Arm as a whole. She would do as the assignment dictated: watch, learn, and report. Sight of the twain grew to maturity, ripening on a secondary world of her species. It was lower gravity than the home world, yet it had a thicker atmosphere dense with oxygen. She was taller, her 6 arms were longer, but she was overall thinner. Her external gills were stronger, though, having to flex harder her entire life. She had honed her breathing capability and used it as a sense of pride. Her mist was thicker than most of her kind, and she liked to add moisture and internally grown dye to it to make it hang in the air longer. She spent her days on the twain outside of her stipend-funded apartment, mostly walking the concourse and watching the other species interact. She had not yet learned the art of the watch, but that did not stop her from trying. She would focus her eyes in on specific spectrums, watching how each species glowed in different wavelengths. She saw the imprints their bodies left on the floor, the tables, the seats, anything they touched. It made her remember her youth spent in the groves with her siblings, hiding and hunting each other. She was always easily found, her own lack of eye control inhibiting her mastery of her skin coordination. Here, though, she was among the nearly blind. The Clouder species each had their primary wavelength focuses, some broader or narrower, but none near complete. She shifted her body chromatophores, masking her with the metallic walls behind her. Here she was more than adequate. She was watching a pair of Fuimos dancing on an airflow from a nearby vent, chasing a handful of dandelion seeds, when a message rolled across her lower eye's display. Sight of twain. You have been activated. Mission briefing files incoming. She read the missive, blinked in acknowledgement, and started hiking toward the second ring to see the hagfish. Kasha did as instructed, met with all parties involved, and moved into position. She didn't like it. She'd grown accustomed to a way of life on Twain, and didn't want to jeopardize it, but Twain she knew was merely a step in gaining rank. With this mission, she would achieve the notoriety needed to pick a new placement. She was in the gree of Twain's factory, hiding in the piping overlooking the Kawaru work floor. She moved slowly so as to not trigger the sensory organs of the gree, whose branches intermingled with the pipes. She maneuvered slowly, watching her target. He is talking to the lead Kawaru foreman. They are arguing. She spelled out on her display with eye movements. Target is calming down. They are shaking appendages. Seems a deal is struck. She looked around the large work floor, eyeing the doors. The target had come in the nearest doors. They were its size, adequate, most probable the same doors it will exit through. Predicting same pathway for exit. Target seems agitated, and lacking the ease coming with being in a familiar space. Are totem in place? A message scrolled across her display. Blind spot is active. Will target take the prescribed path? She watched the target. It was done talking with the foreman and was turning toward the predicted doors. Predicted path has 3 divergence. We will need to block other 2 routes. Create a distraction. I will follow. Sam had agreed, but was still upset. The first mock-up for the new station cannons misfired and detonated, blowing a crater in the outer hull. His ordering it be tested in an uninhabited portion of the station proved invaluable. The foreman had gone over the failed processes with the osmium alloy, but Sam was still unhappy with the delay. He was sad about yelling at the little Kawaru, but the station's safety depended on keeping up the chase of weapon superiority. He walked down the hall near stomping as he thought over the setback. Idiots. Of course it was going to be brittle. You have to follow freaking instructions. He was shouting at no one as Orbit was busily focused on a literal million other tasks, now that he was a free citizen. Sam turned to go down a hallway leading to the lower offices and stopped. One of the armored Goa'uld was busy fighting another of the great arm species, the sharp-footed thing they called Touch. Sam watched as Touch thrust at the floating, intricately armored Goa'uld, and its pointed foot was deflected. Damn it. I don't have time for this bullshit, you too! "Get out of the way!" Sam shouted. Neither stopped. They kept punching and striking at each other. Their bodies tumbled and swung around, blocking the corridor. Sam shook his head. "Orbit, can you get security through Hall 17? Sending a detail now," Orbit said. Sam turned around and headed down another corridor. He yawned, tired after spending his sleep time up feeding Langdon. He imagined the little squishy kid's face. "Love that little dude," Sam mumbled to himself as he walked. He turned a corner into a hallway with obvious damaged lighting. The bulbs flickered on and off, mostly off. "Orbit, need maintenance to my location also. There seems to be electrical malfunctions." He listened as he walked down the hallway. Orbit didn't respond. Orbit? Damn it. Seems lights aren't the only malfunction. Kasha hid in a ceiling alcove. Her body blended in well with the dark as she watched the target walk by underneath. "Target incoming. All teams prepare. Mission is a go." She lowered her smooth head down to watch. The target was making low noises, distracting itself. It took another few steps, and then it happened. The hagfish's guardian lunged out from a masked overroom, capturing the human up in its claws and mandibles. It was gentle not to puncture the fleshy creature. Kasha lowered herself to the floor, her numerous hands finding holds, adding to her graceful landing. She strode down the hall, watching as the smell, armor, touch, and thought of Twain stepped into the hall. She walked up behind the UNT. He was the station's thought and main coordinator. His large hill of a body, supported on numerous tiny legs, was covered in a red cape. The thought looked up, moving its small round head so it could see the target with its 5 eyes. "It was foolish of you to turn down our offer, Sam." Sam looked down at the leader of Twain's Great Arm Representative Council. I thought I told you I don't want anything to do with you people. Last time I thought I could deal with you, you stabbed me and put some dream monster in my head. Now you're ambushing me in the halls. You people are nuts." The aunt twisted its head around, taking in Sam from different angles. "We are not ambushing you, Sam. We are abducting you." Thought turned to the touch. "Hurry, scout the path. The totem should still be blocking the AI, but it won't hold. Sight, go with him. We will be a moment behind you." Kasha looked at the talon-footed touch, eyeing the marks of damage on its body. The faux fight with the Goadur wasn't all that faux, it seemed. They gave it the slow blink of confirmation, and the two darted down the darkened hallway toward the designated airlock. The touch made it there first, and stood next to the 3 totem who were guarding the door. Kasha reached the door and turned to look behind her. "All clear. Plan is a go. Opening door to ship. Stowage ready for target." She waited and watched as the procession marched past and entered the totem ship. She took one last look around and ducked in through the airlock and sealed the hatch. She watched the interior halls of the craft, noted the target stowed, council were seated, totem were in place at the ship's helm, and then she took her own seat. All accounted for. All hands prepare for radio silence and departure. Clearances still affirmed. AI is still under deception. We are a go. Kasha rested while the ship went through rift space. The visuals out the window would have wrecked her vision anyway. She shut off her higher mental states, pulled in her 6 arms and 2 bipedal legs, and curled up into a purple ball. Instinctively, she created a ball of mist around her body while she slept, her mind cleaning itself and cementing memories. She woke up as she felt the shimmering shake of returning to normal space. She opened up her upper eyes to check the window. It was the normal dusting of stars and blackness. She curled the rest of her eyes open, taking in the spectrums and honing her focus. A moon appeared, bright in the reflected light of a trinary star system. She looked over the surface and saw the designated facility. It was a series of large white orbs protruding out of the surface, each orb a habitat for member species of the Great Arm. The largest, central orb was the landing and meeting facility, their objective. She watched as the facility grew around the ship, walls extending upward, and then the interior coming into view. She felt the thud of the ship landing, and then heard the clank of the overhead doors shutting, signaling to her the atmosphere between the walls and the craft. "All hands," she said via eye motions into her comm. "We have arrived. Prepare for the meeting." Kasha got up and walked around the ship. She watched as everyone clamored to their designated tasks. The smell, a thick white serpentine churi, was busy catching everyone up on messages using its internal mouth-based data slate. The touch walked with the Guardian, taking the still-restrained Sam out into the hangar. The armor, thought, totem, and a coterie of hagfish followed behind the hideous human-faced Guardian. Kasha shivered, looking at the long strands of red hair hanging from the creature's scalp. "Parade incoming. Alert the luminary." A message scrolled across her display. "Luminary alerted. Bring the SAM to the disposition circle. The Sknecht will be entering upon securing the target." Sam was transferred from the grasp of the Guardian over to several robotic arms that came out from the floor. The held up spread out in an X, having him face the 5 members of the Luminary. The UNT, the designated thought, spoke up, and a totem touched Sam's ear communicator with a metal-jointed tendril. A spark of data went across, and Sam started hearing them. The UNT looked at Sam. "Welcome, Sam Clemens, President of the Clouder. We are honored with your arrival." Sam looked at it, mouth slightly hanging open. "What? My arrival? You mean my kidnapping? What is wrong with you? People are going to flip out. This could start a war. Are you stupid or something? What are you planning on doing? You holding me for ransom or something? You have hundreds of systems. What do we have that you want?" Thought stared at him, its 5 eyes coiling into points. "You." The UNT then turned its focus down the hall. Sam's restraints moved in unison, aiming him in the same direction. He watched as something that looked like a metal-covered picnic table wobbled toward the assembly. The creature was large, and built more like an antique Volkswagen Beetle now that it got closer to him. It had no visible face or eyes, and walked on 2 central legs, with what appeared to be 4 outer arms that helped share the weight of its encasing shell. Thought spoke again. "The Luminary Council welcomes the Sknecht. We have the subject you asked for." The Sknecht lowered its shell to the ground, lifting up the forward portion. Sam could see 2 tiny red eyes staring at him. "This is the Sam thing?" it asked. "It is," Thought said. The Sknecht looked at Sam, its eyes scanning him from top to bottom. It then scooted closer and touched him with its massive, thick, 2-fingered hand, rubbing Sam's belly. "You are squishy." Sam, still suspended, looked down at the creature. "Yup, Dad bod's a thing." The Sknecht looked around the council. "I think my translation software is malfunctioning. I don't understand it." Kasha stepped up. "My apologies for speaking your Sknecht." She held her gaze to the floor. "You are understanding the creature correctly. They speak nonsense most of the time. Humans are quite fond mixing meanings and making something called jokes." The Sknecht looked back up at Sam. "Curious. You mix meanings?" Sam nodded. "All the time. You wanting a show or something? You want to show me something? I only asked to be shown you," it replied. Kasha, still staring at the ground, answered. "They trick by nature your Sknecht. It does not mean to insult. Its very nature is insulting." The Sknecht raised its shell and walked slowly over to the 5 luminaires. The entire room watched as it made its way over beside the tables. It stopped and lowered back down, raising its frontal portion up to look at Thought. "I have reviewed the files presented. The luminaire has failed. You have presented postulates and conjecture as fact. We are no closer to understanding the interest paid in this Sam or the station it inhabits." The creature turned slowly and looked at Sam, still hanging by the tendrils. It lifted one of its thick arms slightly into the air. "Totem, go ahead and release the human." The tendrils went slack, opening up enough for Sam to fall to the floor. He hit with a thud. "Ow, damn it!" He got up, feeling the red sore spots on his wrists. The Sknecht shifted, adjusting its feet for comfort. "Human, come here." Sam looked at the creature and shook his head. Nah, I'm good. He started looking around, eyeing the two lithe touch creatures and their sharp, pointed walking legs. Call me a transport home. I'm done here. No, you are not human, Sam. I do apologize that this council opted to kidnap you, but you refused other offers to attend of your own free will. They were told to bring you here any way possible, and now that you are here, you're going to pay heed to me. Sam stared at the Sknecht. All right. You're in charge. You're not going to send me back. What now? The Sknecht shifted, getting up onto its hands and legs. You're going to walk with me. Kasha and the touch moved to shadow the Sknecht. The large shelled creature lifted one of its four hands and waved them back. Do not worry. The human is feeble, is he not? Kasha motioned with her hands indicating she was worried. They are tool makers. His body is not able to hurt you, but he has proven resourceful. Be wary, Sknecht. I will take that advice. Thank you, Sight of Twain. The Sknecht started wobbling toward a door on the far side of the white dome. Walk with me, Sam. Sam looked around, and the council members parted to allow him to walk past. All right, I guess we're walking. Sam caught up easily, and the two walked through the doors into a well-lit hallway. When the door shut, leaving the two isolated, the Sknecht started talking. My people are the oldest. We have been watching and learning since before your star system coalesced. Do you understand that, Sam? Yes. Your people have been around a long time. So what? That gives you the right to kidnap people? You have a term for it, so it has happened on your world too. Am I correct? What kidnappings? Yes. It is translation as child-taking. Your people have taken children? Yes. I guess some have. It's not condoned, but it has happened, I guess, Sam said. So, humans in your history have taken it upon themselves to have the right to steal people. That is accurate? Sam nodded. I guess so. It is not a guess. You have a term. Your people have stolen people. If creatures as young and digressed technologically as you have the right to take people, then so do my peoples. Sam sighed. That's some backwards logic. It is futile anyway. The Sknecht said. You will return to your station unharmed. We have tried every way we could without directly interfering with you to learn what the Arlang wants with you. Sam looked down the long hallway. The lights seemed to go on forever, and he couldn't see the end. What is the Arlang? Where are we going? We had a human habitat built here. I'm taking you to it. I hope you will be at comfort there. The Sknecht stopped and tilted its face up toward Sam. I will tell you about the Arlang. You need to know. It lowered its face back down and started walking again. After a few steps, the Sknecht started talking again. My people are the oldest. Our world was one of the first to form with heavier elements from the death of the first stars. We have lifted numerous species in our history, tailoring them to our needs. We have made star captures, ripped apart systems for production, and traveled across numerous galaxies before we developed Rift Drive. It paused to rub its hands, and then started wobbling forward again. We found the Rift tunnels as you did. We found the Rift Circle as you did. We studied it and sent several ships back on the long trip home. Sam nodded. So you're an old species. You met everyone out here a long time ago then? The Sknecht issued a grunting sound. Yes. We found the Geneforge worlds. We found that there is something old here. You studied the worlds. You know the origin of the totem, correct? Yes. They have writings similar to the hagfish. They're both related to the Arlang. The totem are old, and the mechanical creatures that made them are even older. The hagfish are new, born on their own forge world. They worship the makers of meat. They fed greedily, very vicious species, very smart, very hungry. They worship the Arlang, thinking it made the totem. We used them. So, machine things made the totem, and the hagfish thing this Arlang did? I'm not following, Sam said as he looked up. He saw the door at the far, far end come into sight. We followed it all. We dissected totem. We studied their coding. We found the machines that built them. We dissected them. We studied their coding. We found in them the secret. The Sknecht paused again and looked at Sam. They were not made as things were made. They were made by even smaller nanomachines. They grew as life does. Rather than organic as you, me, and everything else that lives and breathes, the ancestors of the totem grew in their own puddles and became what they are. That's crazy. So robots just developed in a mud puddle on a world somewhere? Sam shook his head. This is nuts. We agree, Human Sam. We did not believe it. We sent several missions to the source world. That world was at the edge of the Great Hole, a rim world not far from the Craddock. We watched. The nanomachines did grow there. They did build other larger machines there. And they did beget the totem. Again, we dissected them and studied their coding. The coding is the clue. We listened to the puddles and found code vibrating through them. It turned away from Sam and started wobbling again toward the door. We listened to the ground. The code was vibrating through it. We listened to the entire planet and found the code vibrating through it. We listened to the system Sam. The code vibrated through everything. The vibrations were the answer. The vibrations are the Arlong Sam. So these vibrations are what is affecting my sleep. If I can somehow turn them off, I can get this out of my head, then? We do not want it off. We have been trying to reach the source of it for a long time now. You're going to help us, it said. You kidnapped me. I don't think I really want to help you, Sam replied. We have been studying it for a long time. We have been learning for a long time. We have moved worlds here to the rim to study it. It has been operating at the same low rate for most of recorded history. Only 4 times has it increased as it is now. We only understood too late the other 3 times, but this time we know. It wants to speak to you, Sam. You should really consider helping us. What happened the other 3 times? Sam asked, his voice wavering. The first was a reaction to a series of forged worlds failing due to our interference. It called out warning us, manipulating our minds. We shut it out of our minds due to fear of it. The second was a manipulation of various races around the rim. We helped protect their worlds, fearing its influence. The third was a calling to the center of the whole. We used our influence over the species here and had the Stygians build the station you reside in. We monitored them as they were driven mad and killed each other out of paranoid fear. Sam stared at the nearing door. And now it is calling out again. And you're watching while my people will eventually start murdering each other. The Sknecht approached the door and waved, opening it up. Sam stood in the doorway staring. Inside was lush forest of apple trees. He stepped inside and looked around. The Sknecht followed him in. Sam walked toward a clearing and saw a figure sitting at picnic table. It was an android, Finnegan-shaped but taller, with black and white stripes. Sam approached. Novacor? The android nodded. Hey, Sam, what are you doing here? I was kidnapped. You too? The Sknecht wobbled through the trees, nearing the 2. No. The AI was hired. He advertised, and we purchased his skills. He's a very good designer of habitats, efficient, beautiful. The Sknecht sat down and looked at Nova. Aye, Novacor. Would you be kind and alert your Clouder to the presence of Human Sam and his good health? Nova nodded, bobbing his ears slightly. Already done. This is weird. Why did you kidnap him? Sam looked at the Sknecht. I don't want my family hurt. Whatever this thing is, can it be stopped? The Sknecht adjusted its hands and got comfortable on the grass. It took us too long. We thought it was malevolent. When we were exposed for long periods, it would present itself as the consumer. We feared it, wanted to stop it, but that is not what it is. Sam remembered one of his dreams as it talked. Our minds make the image. It is something unknown, and we adhere our thoughts about the unknown to it, right? Yes, that is what we have learned. Sam thought for a moment. What else do you know? The Sknecht shifted, lifting its shell up so its red eyes could meet with Sam's. It is on the other side, and it wants us to meet it.